Welcome to all my equipped women. I am so excited that you are tuning in to this week's episode. And this week, I want to talk about what to do when you're waiting. If you're anything like me, you've experienced that wilderness period where you felt like you were all alone and God wasn't hearing or listening to anything, any of your prayers, any of the things that were going on. You felt like that you had been forgotten about. And so many times when we go through these periods in life, it's definitely a strengthening of our faith and a total dependence and reliance on God as we go through these hard times in our life. But there are specific ways that we ought to wait to hear answers from God. And there are ways that we should not wait. And I've fallen into that way that I should not wait, becoming impatient, moving ahead of God and making decisions outside of his will, knowing that that road leads to turmoil and disappointment. And I know so many people have probably experienced that. But as we continue to grow in him and really understand that everything that he does, his timing is always perfect, and we're always going to receive those things that he's promised to us. But we have to position ourselves to be able to receive it in a way that's going to allow God to open that door that we're asking him to open. So today I want to share with you ways that we should wait on God when we're dealing in those things that may make us feel like God has forgotten about us. And the first way is to be patient. I know sometimes this is easier said than done when things may be going on all around you and you want an answer right away. And sometimes we may not be ready to receive what God has for us and what we're asking for because we have not grown and matured enough to be able to handle it. So being patient allows us to get prepared for that very thing that we are asking for. So the first thing to do is when we're waiting is to be patient. Second is to trust the process. And when I say this, I mean put your full and complete trust in God, because trusting in anything else will lead us into a place that we will not experience success. I know there's been many times when I became impatient and I wasn't trusting in fully in what God had for me. And I didn't trust his process. I went ahead and made certain decisions that led to things that I had to make up for that with wasting time because I didn't allow God to reveal that very thing to me. So now I'm learning more and more to trust the process. Put my full and complete trust in God. Give it completely to him and not try to take it back from him, and not trusting that when we give things to him that he's going to fully fulfill all that he's promised to us. And the third way is expect him to answer. Position yourself in full expectance that God is going to answer our prayers as long as it's within his will. Because sometimes we're praying prayers that aren't aligned with his will and his word, and then we get discouraged because he doesn't answer those prayers. So we have to continue to renew our mind and make sure that the things that we're asking for are aligned with what God has for us. And if it's aligned with what he has for us and is in his perfect will, we can wait expectantly knowing that he is going to answer our prayer. And this is how we ought to position ourselves for waiting, expecting that I know without a shadow of a doubt that this is what God has promised me in this season of my life. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to trust the process, and I'm going to fully expect that he's going to fulfill all that he has promised me. And the next way is to be strong and courageous. Sometimes when we're dealing in a waiting period, we get discouraged and we sometimes feel as though that all has failed. But this is a time we have to build up our faith. Be strong, be courageous, be confident in who God has created you to be. Because as long as we stay connected to him, we know that we can continue to draw on his strength so that we will be available and ready for what we have asked him for. I know sometimes when we're going through that turmoil, when things are all high in our life or things are low in our life, those are the two times that we're most vulnerable. because impatiently waiting for things, we may experience that discouragement that will make us feel like God has forgotten about us. But if we continue to draw in on his strength, build our faith through his word and the renewing of our mind, we can continue to be courageous during that wilderness period so that we understand that it's coming. And we have to have the faith to know that God is going to show up for us in every area of our life. And lastly, stand firm on God's word. Anything apart from God will not allow us to experience what he has for us. We will never be able to walk the steps that he has ordered for us if we disconnect from his word. So standing firmly on his word is what is going to allow us to experience that success and get us through the wilderness periods that we often encounter as we journey through this thing called life. So I encourage you to continue to meditate on his word day and night. That is where we experience success. That is where we're allowed to see God fully manifest those things that he has promised us. So I wanted to share this quick word of encouragement for you because I know many of you may be in a waiting period now. Many of you may be expecting God to do things in your life. And I just want you to transform from that place of impatience, that place of discouragement, that place of lack of faith, and move into a place where you are fully positioned in a place of waiting that's going to allow the results to show up in a way that's going to change your life like never before. So thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and also hit that notification bell so that you can continue to get this encouragement so that you can walk in the everything that God has promised you and walk fully as the equipped woman living purposed, productive, and prosperous.